came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yerrr Sports Show. Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yerrr Sports Show. Came here to say that you don't really want it with us.
Yerrr.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show. I am your host, Big Baby, a.k.a. the soul of R&B.
I love it.
To my right, we have Queen Tay.
Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday.
To my bottom right, we have BK Matt.
What's going on? What's going on, yo?
And you still got that shower curtain do-rag?
Look, don't do that. We ain't gonna do that.
I had that one too. I had it in black though. But
I got them in all flavors and colors, man. I'm good. I got a whole collection. I'm about to change my name.
That's what she said.
I would. Wow. And the professor, the pervy professor. Now.
You're the inappropriate professor.
Right. The voice of.
I gotta separate myself from Mike today. You know. Well, listen, yo, Dre. I won Mega Millions, man. I got $4.
Oh, congratulations! Congratulations.
Tay, look at it like, wait a minute, what? No, you know what's funny though? One of the $1 million tickets for Mega Millions was sold in my old neighborhood. Well, where I grew up. My grandmother and my father lived in Astoria, Queens. Right. So I was always around 21st Street, 21st Avenue. And one of the $1 million tickets, the second place tickets, was sold in Astoria, Queens on 21st Street. So really cool for my old neighborhood. Really cool for them.
How's everybody's week been?
Usual. Nothing exciting.
There was one exciting thing, Dre, that happened to me this week. You know, one of my good friends, somebody that I really love and respect, was able to find themselves back on their feet again, back in a job that they love, back in a job they appreciate, and it showed that it appreciated them. And so I just want to give all the roses to that person right now. They shall remain nameless right now, but that person, yeah. Getting back up on their feet the way they're supposed to.
Definitely wasn't for everybody to know, but I do appreciate it.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
We gotta give you those roses, bro. You be putting a lot of people on your back, and it was time for you to get somebody to put them on put you on their back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it.
Or any of your shoulders. I mean, you did have.
Shut up, Matt.
Oh Jesus!
Oh man, pretty eventful past week. Yeah, we still got our new president doing his thing so far.
Yeah, and our vice president. That's what
Madam
Vice President. The world of sports has been pretty quiet, but first and foremost. Like we did in the title picture, our condolences go out to Larry King and his family, and our condolences also go out to Hank Aaron and his family. Like I said, two very influential figures, two different sides of the spectrum, but yeah. Our condolences go out to them. So
both icons in their own right.
Most definitely.
Right.
All right. Y'all ready to jump into it?
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Yerrr Sports Show, and it's memorable, quick hits. This week we have no sponsor this week, but we are working on getting another one for next week. Working diligently to do that.
How much does the sponsorship packages start at? Because I mean, I could sponsor if it's like $10-$20.
I mean, listen, we open an all office at this point.
All right,
we just open an all office.
My birthday next week. I'm going to sponsor Quick Hits.
Yeah, oh, look at that. There we go.
Shoot, her birthday's next week. She, depending on the outcome of pick 5, she might be running the show. So,
we still got a couple more weeks. For that.
We got 2 more games. We have this game and we have the Super Bowl. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes,
definitely. Let's see. Oh, actually, next week is episode 50, too.
And as Dre said, let's start with the breaking news from earlier this morning, as we all woke up to the very sad and heartbreaking news that iconic and legendary interviewer and television personality Larry King passed away at the age of 87. For all of us who'd ever wanted to be in any form of media, Larry King was someone that you knew as a staple on television, whether you were a fan of his or watched his programming. For a long time, Larry King was the only thing I knew that existed on CNN outside of the news, right? Which I did not watch very regularly as a young person. But you would always kind of get caught up in whatever Larry King was doing as you were going across the channels at some point in the evening. And he has left us. Many people, will remember some of his most iconic shows where he smooched Marlon Brando live on television, or even where he actually started constructing Middle Eastern peace talks live on his own show. Multiple cancer survivor and multiple marriage survivor will also say that. Many marriages for Larry King. One of the greatest jokes I ever heard from a stand-up comedian was that if we ever went to a system where you had to lose a body part for every subsequent marriage you had, at this point, Larry King would probably just be ahead. But Larry King stood with us, fought through everything, passed away, unfortunately, today at the age of 87. Moving on to the NFL. And it was like this week was the week to hire head coaches. That's what it was this week. We got a bunch of head coaching positions getting filled in the NFL. Let's start with one of my favorite head coach introductory press conferences, the man out in Detroit, Dan Campbell, hired as the new Lions head coach and signed to a 6-year deal. He was the former assistant head coach and tight ends coach in New Orleans, has never been an NFL coordinator at any level, but is getting a 6-year deal to be the head coach of the Lions. And if you saw his introductory press conference, I loved it. It was just really gritty. Talked about how Detroit's going to take a lot to take Detroit down. They're going to come up and start biting kneecaps on the way up. And eventually they're going to be the last team standing.
Yeah, he said a lot. They played it on like the news the other day. I'm just like, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, speaking of the Lions, they also hired earlier this year. They also hired a new general manager, Brad Holmes. So the black general manager in Detroit, and now their new head coach, Dan Campbell. Really interested to see what they do there. They do have, in my opinion, one of the best and most unheralded quarterbacks in the NFL in Matthew Stafford, and obviously one of the best wide receivers in Galladay. So let's see what they do in Detroit. Philadelphia was able to avoid the hiring of Adam Gase, and they hired, though, a very young head coach, the former offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, Nick Sirianni. Has spent 11 years as a quarterbacks and receivers coach with both the Indianapolis Colts and other teams. Has coached Rivers, has coached Luck, and coached Jacoby Brissett, and was able to keep Indianapolis in top 10 in quarterback efficiency over those seasons. So Philly really looking at him to hopefully solidify that Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz quarterback area there. Big thing, though, in, again, what we're seeing with a lot of these head coaches, no play calling experience for Nick Sirianni at any level in Philadelphia. Matt is losing his mind over the hiring of Nick Sirianni. I don't know if he's just happy that he's hired.
Nobody knows him like that. I mean, like it's Nick Sirianni, whatever, Shaq, you got it. I ain't gonna argue.
It don't matter if he's not known.
It does matter. It matters a lot. It matters a lot. It matters everything. Like Philadelphia, and like Tay said, they're putting up too much face in Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. I don't think Doug Peterson deserved what he got. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
But whatever. Long live Nick Sirianni is actually a reggae artist, but we're not gonna go there.
You know what? Just considering the population of Philly, it'd be great if he came out to a Sirianni song.
Imagine.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that Philadelphia kind of missed the mark this year with the head coaches. I definitely see the offensive quarterback coaching experience of Sirianni, but I feel as if Doug Peterson should have gotten another year. Given the fact that he was the one who coached them through that Super Bowl win.
Exactly.
Unwinnable. And, it shows that they're trying to stick with Carson Wentz. It's like how many bricks and buildings have to fall on your head before you realize that, maybe it's time to move on. And I think even with Hurts, you get what I'm saying? Like, I could see Peterson could have done better with Hurts. But, to each his own.
That's what I mean.
Fly Eagles, fly right into the trash can.
That's all right. It's cool. They only got one champion. Not one, but, when was the last time that they was really relevant as far as winning a championship?
People weren't rooting for them. They were just rooting against the Patriots. That's the difference.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's the American way. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Pete.
No, the Chargers also hiring a new head coach. Finally, the Chargers keeping it local in Los Angeles as they hire the Rams defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, obviously hoping that he can bring the tenacity that he brought from the Rams defense to the Chargers as their new head coach. And the Washington football team has hired a new GM. They've brought in Martin Mayhew as their general manager, formerly the general manager of the Lions from 2008 to 2015. Makes him the second black general manager in football behind the aforementioned Brad Holmes. Interesting situation in Washington because the general manager actually reports to the head coach in Washington. So everyone will be reporting to Ron Rivera, but Martin Mayhew, Herney, who was hired as the EVP of player personnel, and Ron Rivera all have a great close relationship, so we'll see how that works. Speaking of general managers, former Packers general manager Ted Thompson, known most notably for drafting Aaron Rodgers, trading Brett Favre, and winning Super Bowl 45 while constructing the team that won Super Bowl 45. Was the Packers general manager from 2005 to 2017. Passed away this week at the age of 68 years old after a battle with a disease that was taking a lot out of him. He moved from the GM role to a consultant role with the Packers in 2018 and has been with them ever since. In funny news, real funny news in the NFL, let's talk about some funny stuff in the NFL really quickly before we get to the big NFL story of the week. Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Dwayne Haskins this week. A lot of interesting stories coming out of that signing. Is Big Ben retiring? Are they going to reclaim Dwayne Haskins? I will tell you this, though. If Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization can turn Dwayne Haskins around, that's going to be a big story for them after the way he failed in Washington.
I think
Dre started and then Dre froze. Our host is frozen. Queen, you're muted.
Our host is frozen at the moment, but I think if there's anybody that can get Dwayne Haskins into shape, it's Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin doesn't have time for shenanigans and nonsense. And I think that if Haskins plays his cards right, he could be a decent second option going into first option. I don't think Ben is retiring this year. I see it more for next season.
Possibly. Funny story number 2 in the NFL this week. So talking about coaches being hired in the NFL, everyone's been keeping up with what's going on in Houston because of Deshaun Watson. But story came out this week that the 2 candidates that Houston is interviewing for their head coaching position include Jim Caldwell, former coach of the Colts and the Lions, And here's the kicker. Quarterback Josh McCown, who is currently under contract with the Houston Texans as a quarterback, being interviewed for the possible head coach position.
That is hilarious.
Must be nice.
And yet, ladies and gentlemen, I will say this every single time until it happens. Eric Bieniemy still does not have a head coaching job in the NFL. I want to know how bad his resume is, how bad his interview skills is. Something has to be really off about Eric Bieniemy to the point that everybody in the NFL talks highly about him, and yet this man cannot get a job.
Sounds familiar, don't it?
It does. And the big story in the NFL this week, and our wrap-up of the NFL quick hits for the week, 17 seasons is now over as Philip Rivers has decided to retire as a quarterback in the NFL. He will be taking on a job as a high school football coach. Gotta love that. Gotta love it when coach can still slang, right? You can't be a quarterback on that team and say, I can't make that throw, because Coach Rivers is going to show you how to make that throw.
Facts.
But Philip Rivers retired after 17 seasons, spent last season with the Indianapolis Colts, took them to the playoffs, really solidified that position after the sudden retirement of Andrew Luck 2 seasons ago. And let's really talk really quickly about Philip Rivers' team here, right? He holds a record in every major passing category, right? As we all know, he was part of what people call the new 1980 quarterback draft in 2004, right? It was Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Philip Rivers, the three big quarterbacks in that draft. Philip Rivers has 134 wins, which is second all-time for quarterbacks without a Super Bowl ring and 8th all-time in NFL history. The only players who have more wins than Philip Rivers, Brady, Peyton, Big Ben, Breeze, Favre, Elway, and Marino. He's 5th in league history in touchdowns. He is 5th in league history in passing yards, almost 65,000 passing yards. He made 240 straight starts, second only to Brett Favre's Ironman streak, had 12 4,000-yard seasons, and played through a torn ACL in his lone NFC championship game appearance. As we said, no Super Bowls, unfortunately, for Philip Rivers. So I ask you 2 questions. 1, does Philip Rivers belong in the NFL Hall of Fame? And 2, rings aside, Rivers, Ben, Eli, who are you taking? Rings aside.
Well, we spoke about it a little earlier. I said I still would possibly choose Big Ben, but Philip Rivers is not far away. You know, like I said, Eli only came into the conversation mainly because of the 2 Super Bowl wins that he got. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Look, I'm going with Ben, though.
You could never get an unbiased opinion about Eli Manning from somebody.
I respect Eli Manning. I respect Eli Manning. So you would choose Eli Manning over Ben Roethlisberger?
No, bro.
You would choose Eli Manning over Ben Roethlisberger?
Yes.
You serious?
Yes, I would.
But I'm biased.
No, I would.
All right.
I would.
What about you, Drew?
All right. It's an opinion.
You're right. What about you, Drew? I know he's about to speak some bias.
I'm picking Philip Rivers. I'm picking Philip Rivers due to again a lot of longevity. Like Eli, like Ben. He's very underrated. He has great vision. He's not the most mobile, but he'll get the ball to where it needs to be. He doesn't throw he never really threw a lot of interceptions, especially when his team was even when it was just So
garbage. You can say it, garbage. Never garbage.
So I'll take Philip Rivers in this one.
It's just sad he never really got to see or get a taste of what the Super Bowl is like, but it's not necessarily a fault of his. It's just circumstances being the way that they are.
Yeah, football is not just games are not just won by the quarterback. You also remember the Chargers defense most years were not good. So You know, we talk about the Saints and just not playing defense. The Chargers are in that kind of category where
Please don't bring up the Saints.
They don't play defense.
they were good offensively, not as good but defensively. They were just no.
I mean, Sean Merriman, I think, was the best defensive player on the Chargers during that time. Junior Seau had already left Los Angeles at that time. He had LaDainian Tomlinson as his running back, and Antonio Gates as his tight end, and he had Vincent Jackson at wide receiver for a couple of years before Vincent went to Tampa Bay. Yeah. I think it's interesting to note, though, he didn't play quarterback as a starting quarterback for the first 2 seasons of his career. He sat behind. He was third string his first season, and his second season he was backup. Drew Brees was the starter both seasons. And his third season, he really didn't start getting his groove until they opened the playbook midway through the season and realized that the kid could actually throw the ball. So, very interesting because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Queen, Eli started it was the 15th game or came in relief on the 15th game of his rookie season, then started his second season. Ben, I believe, started midway through his first season after replacing an injured Tommy Maddox, and then was, entrenched as the starting quarterback in his second season.
Right. So I know that, all right, we give Phillip Rivers his flowers. He deserves his flowers. He has great longevity. And I do feel the fact that those Chargers teams that he was the quarterback for, the reason why he's so unsung is because, like you guys said, they weren't great teams, right? But I do say this: if you tell me Ben, Eli, Phillip Rivers, taking Ben out the equation, because you do remember that it was a trade between Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning that caused Phillip Rivers to go to the Chargers and Eli to go to the Giants. So what I will say is this: I do not think you get those 2 Super Bowl rings with Phillip Rivers. I do think you get those 2
I agree with you.
With Eli Manning.
Eli Manning is spectacular in those moments. You're right. You're right. I can't even argue with you that. You got it.
Yeah, of course. So that is why, I take Eli over Phillip Rivers. It's not even just about the ring, just the winning. I'm talking about the playmaking down the wire in those games. Those are close games. Those are close Super Bowl type games. You get what I'm saying? And I feel as if Eli was the quarterback that I would trust during those moments ahead of Phillip Rivers. Now, Phillip Rivers is going to give you yardage that Eli couldn't give you. You get what I'm saying? Big Ben is going to give you that transition that Phillip Rivers can't give you. You get what I'm saying? The drop back in the pocket. Big Ben is big. He's a huge guy. So it's hard. It was harder in his prime to take him down. You get what I'm saying? But Eli, being the scraggly one of the bunch, I felt as if he was the one that had the better football IQ. But yes, I do feel Phillip Rivers deserves a place in the Hall of Fame. He is to the Chargers what Dan Marino was to the Dolphins. The Patrick Ewings to the Knicks. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride, but somebody who we never really spoke of him and throughout the years because the Chargers didn't make that much noise outside of their division.
Yeah.
So, but I feel as if Phillip Rivers has a career that he should not feel sad about. I mean, he never made it to the big dance, but the things that he's been able to do were great. I feel like he's a great quarterback for all intents and purposes. But if I had to choose, I was going to go with Eli just because of the football IQ down the wire. He has a better football IQ than Ben Roethlisberger did.
It's interesting. All 3 of those teams played in the same conference. All 3 of those quarterbacks played in the same conference. All of them played in the AFC. Ben, Eli, and Rivers. NFC. Sorry, yeah. All of them played in the NFC. In Ben, Eli, and Rivers. And it's very interesting because
Ben is in the AFC.
All right, so 2 and 1. I apologize. Eli's in the NFC. Ben and Phillip in the AFC. I think it's interesting. 2004 draft. You think all 3 quarterbacks go to the Hall of Fame? Ben, Eli, and Phillip. I think all 3 of them do. And Ben's the last one standing. If he comes back next season, Ben is the last one standing of all 3. And let's move on to our top story and our final story of Quick Hits. As Dre also said in the very beginning of our episode, this week, Major League Baseball, in my opinion, the world, and most importantly, the African American sports community lost one of its most staunchest and most important figures in all of probably the last century, when Henry Aaron passed away this week. In my opinion, the home run king. I'm sorry. 755 is the number. I don't care how many home runs Barry Bonds has on the record. 755 is the number. For those of you who don't know the breakdown of Henry Aaron's career, let's go through this, right? He's third in league history in hits. Third in games played, first in games played, first in runs scored, 755 home runs, first in RBIs, first in total bases, first in extra base hits. He was the NL MVP in 1957 when the Milwaukee Braves won the World Series, a 2-time batting champion, a 3-time Gold Glover in right field, and a 25-time, count that, 25-time consecutive years, by the way. The only times he was not an all-star was his first season and his last season. 25 consecutive years, Henry Aaron started an all-star game in Major League Baseball. We all know about the death threats that Hank Aaron had to deal with as he got closer and closer to breaking then Babe Ruth's home run record. We've seen the iconic clip of the day that he hits the 700, his home run to break Babe Ruth's record. And as he's trotting around the bases, you have fans coming out to touch him on the base pass. And at that point, no one knowing whether these fans were going to be dangerous or not to Henry Aaron. And we've seen that iconic clip. Actually, a young Craig Sager in that clip, ladies and gentlemen. But Henry Aaron passed away. And I just want to say this. This is what's interesting for anyone who knows baseball. I want y'all to think, my 3 teammates to think of this for a minute. In the era of baseball that was the 50s and the 60s, from day one of the season, you could already write it in. Here was the starting outfield for almost 10 plus years in the All-Star game. For 10 plus years, here was the starting outfield. Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente. Okay. I don't think you can find a better outfield in the history of baseball. Right? And for at least a decade plus, without question, that was the starting outfield for the Major League Baseball All-Star game. We wish the family of Henry Aaron and all of his fans, and especially the African-American sports community who lost an absolute icon this week. We wish them all the best. Thank you, Henry Aaron, for everything you've done for the game of baseball, for every young black man who ever wanted to play the game of baseball, and for every young black athlete who ever thought that they couldn't do it. Henry Aaron was one of our earliest and most prolific icons. And we wish you all the best and thank you for everything.
That was a beautiful tribute, Pete. Beautiful.
Definitely beautiful.
Before we go, mind you want to know what's funny, Queen? When he got into the Hall of Fame, you know what percentage of the vote he got?
What?
97.8% of the vote. One of the highest vote. It is one of the highest vote totals ever. I don't think anyone's gotten in unanimously in baseball, but I think one of the highest vote totals. One of the highest vote totals. You know what's funny? Babe Ruth didn't even get in unanimously when he was voted in.
I think one of the highest was my boy Derek Jeter, though. I think it was one person. I think he would have gotten a perfect induction apart from one vote.
One person.
Yeah, that's it. It was, and I don't want to say. Sorry, no, there was one unanimous. I do apologize. Mariano Rivera got in with 100% of the vote, and then obviously Derek Jeter, Griffey got in with 99.3%. So 97.8% for our boy Henry Aaron. To the Hall of Fame.
He is a walking sports encyclopedia. It is crazy.
I forgot about Mo. I forgot about Mo getting in unanimously.
If people don't know, Shaq is very important to this show. Yo, we gotta love Shaq. Yo, shout out to Shaq.
Where do y'all stand? Henry Aaron, home run king, or Barry Bonds?
It's not even a question. Hank Aaron. I'm going with Hank Aaron. I'm sorry, I am.
I'm gonna have to go with Hank Aaron. Barry Bonds,
Had help.
You got the roids, baby. I can't kind of.
You can't push that under the rug at all. Yeah, definitely Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
755 is the number.
We ain't paying Head and Shoulders no mind. Hank Aaron.
But that was a quick hit for the week of January 23rd. Thank you, Pete. Let's get right into today's topics. Let's get right into the top story. UFC 257 is tonight, Saturday when everybody listens to this on other platforms. But the main event is Conor McGregor versus Daniel Poirier 2. This is the second time they will be squaring off against each other. The first time, Conor won decisively. But here's the problem.
So knocked out from that.
He was. He was gone.
He was calling foul. He was like, "No, he hit me behind the head." No, boy, you got clipped. You should have never bent down. Got clipped.
Sure.
In the first
round. One of the main points of this particular fight is Conor hasn't fought in over a year. But Poirier just fought in June. Is that going to be an issue for Conor, and how do you guys think the fight is going to turn out? Tay, I'll start with you.
Well, I do feel it's going to be an issue for Conor, because this was a guy prior to 2016 that was headlining UFC matches every 6 or 7 months. And I feel as if anything that Conor is involved with the UFC has the ability to be great, right? Conor is we need to see how amazing he can be tonight. I think this is more pressure for him to show that he still has it. You know, people, even though he won against Cowboy Cerrone, I think last year around this time, you know, people still can't get the stink of his loss to Khabib out of their memories. So at the end of the day, I feel as if Conor needs to show people that he's still a viable superstar in the UFC. Granted, you know, he's done amazing things for the brand. Between him and Ronda Rousey, I don't know anybody I would say in the mid 2010s who were more integral to the MMA UFC brand. So I feel as if he's going to win tonight. I think that it may not be as decisive as it was the first time around, but Poirier has an opportunity to kind of shock the world. But I do see it going McGregor's way.
Just a quick follow-up. I'll ask this after I go around. So, Matt, what are your thoughts?
If anybody paid attention to the first fight between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, it was, in my opinion, it was kind of lopsided. I felt like Conor was toying with him. Again, this is real early with that first fight that they had, and you know, he's added some more to his repertoire in a sense, but it's just something about Conor McGregor's southpaw and that stance and that confidence that like Tay said, it's just money to a degree. And yeah, we can't wash that Khabib match out of our brains because of how he tapped Conor McGregor out and he held on to it because it was personal. He was talking about Khabib's mom and his wife, which is things you don't do. And this is what Conor
off limits. We don't. The thing is, there's nothing off limits. You know, no offense, but if we don't know what Khabib said to him either,
right? 100%.
True, but mama should always be off limits.
I'm sorry. If
we're beefing, I'm talking about everybody.
And
I'm talking about everybody.
I mean, that's even like a code of the street. Like even in the streets, there's some hard dudes out in the streets that won't say nothing about your mama. They'll say a lot of things about you, but they won't say something about your mama.
I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about everybody.
That's usually that. You know it, and you say, Queen, you know it. Where we all grew up, Dre, you know it. The minute your mama gets brought up, automatic fight.
Yeah, you can.
I'm coming at your mouth before you even get a chance to say mom. So I don't even.
But that's what I'm saying. Conor did that and he got tapped out, and Khabib held on like he was not going to let go.
I think the shenanigans outside the ring, when after the match happened, was the thing that I think tarnished Khabib too. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. Conor was talking a lot of trash. He got tapped out, but then ended up still looking like the hero to the mainstream media because Khabib and his team acted like straight animals after the match.
This is a fact. And honestly, let's call a spade a spade. This is supposed to be technically a warm-up match for Conor to like add more to his record and honestly to get more money for the UFC because the big money fight is Khabib and McGregor. And granted, Khabib is retired.
Yeah.
I'm doing the air quotes for those that are listening on podcast form. He's retired and he wants a big name fight apparently, but he doesn't want McGregor. And I maybe it could be a mental thing. He doesn't want to go through all of that again. Or maybe he really realized that maybe McGregor can actually beat him this time. Because McGregor
I think absolutely. Because look at Diaz, and I think the Diaz loss was more embarrassing for McGregor, to be honest with you. I think that was one that people didn't see coming. You know what I'm saying? People knew Khabib was a problem. You get what I'm saying? So they knew that it was going to be harder for him to do the same shenanigans against Khabib that he got away with Nate. You know what I'm saying?
Again, he gets Khabib on like if they're squaring up, he has all chance in the world. But if he gets on the ground, we don't know. That's Khabib's terrain. So I just feel like that was a fluke. I feel like it was a fluke win. I don't feel like you put them two together again. I don't see the same result happening. And the thing is, I feel like if Khabib was that, offended by Conor, you get what I'm saying? Offended by the things that he did, and he had the advantage because he won. Why you don't want to fight this man again? Why? Like I said, it could be a mental thing. Like it could be it was too much for him. Like the background of everything. It could be, like I said, it could have been that. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with the headache that Conor McGregor brings, because Lord knows Conor McGregor is something special.
You want that Conor McGregor money, though. You want that Conor McGregor fight purse.
Oh, definitely.
That's a big difference.
Definitely.
That's a big difference. This man got into Mayweather. And I think that was the biggest payday in his life. I'm saying that he might be going into the ring with Manny Pacquiao, which might be another a bigger payday than he would have ever gotten in the UFC. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think Conor is bigger than the UFC at this point. And like you said, I think this is an exhibition match for him to show his fans that he still has something in the tank. But he cannot come into this match. He cannot come into this fight overconfident, because that's what shook him. When I saw him going into the ring against Khabib, I felt like he was distracted because of the Mayweather fanfare that came from it. That made him an international name in a way that didn't do before. So he got caught up in all that nonsense, and I think that this is different.
It kind of goes both ways, because Dustin Poirier can square up too. And if you watch the first fight, he hit Conor a good amount. He jaw-jacked Conor a good amount. So if they again, Conor's stance is fighting. He'll square up with you. He looks for that knock. He looks for that kick. He looks for that knockout hit. So if Poirier can get a good shot on him, because again, it's been a good year and change since Conor's been in the ring. He's fairly fresh. He has a shot, but he can't let Conor get in his head like he did at the first fight, because Conor's arms was down. He was playing with him, and then when Poirier leaned in, he got hit in the back of his head, and that was all she wrote for him. So you can't go in there sleeping, because he's good with his stance. He's good.
But I think that even with Cowboy Cerrone, I think Cowboy Cerrone had a tougher jaw than Poirier does.
I agree.
That Cowboy Cerrone, he could take a hit.
Yeah,
that's one guy that could take a hit.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, and I think Izzy in our comments said it the best, right? Conor's a brand at this point. Conor, and I feel like that's always the problem with UFC fighters, with boxers. And you move beyond being a fighter, when you move beyond being the person that needs to survive by being in the ring, by being in the octagon, you lose something. You lose focus. You lose tenacity, right? And we see this a lot with UFC fighters once they become a bit big, right? This is why, for me personally, I will always be a fan of old school beginner UFC back in the day when it was a lot of no-name guys. I mean, Hoist Gracie is still the most well-known person, the Shamrocks, the Gracies, all of that. A couple of other fighters to come out of the OG UFC. But most people don't talk about them unless they're OG fans of MMA, right? They never became household names. They never became international names. They never became these big multimedia stars. Conor does. Chuck Liddell did. And what happened when those things happen to those stars? They start to lose focus. They start to lose that sharpness. They start to lose that edge. Why? Because the fighting and the winning in the ring or in the octagon is not as important for them because their brand has now surpassed the fight. No, here's the thing. Conor's brand was built on winning in the UFC. Once his brand surpassed the UFC, he don't need to win in the UFC. That's why Conor could walk away from the UFC, and it's not that big of a deal because you said it, Conor is bigger than the UFC. Yeah, the UFC needs Conor McGregor more than Conor McGregor needs the UFC. Right?
That's true.
And so at the end of the day, we've seen the UFC discard its top talent after 1 or 2 losses, 3 losses. You get to 3 losses in the UFC, you're not a star for them anymore. That's it. Right? But McGregor's not going to be that talent because McGregor's bigger than the UFC. Here's the thing. Matt made a great point. McGregor's striking game is on par with some of the best. The only thing that really gives me a lot of hope for McGregor in this fight is that McGregor said, and it could be BS or whatever, he said he went back to a lot of his old training regimen. He got back in touch with the old McGregor way of doing things. If Conor McGregor walks in there as Conor McGregor, he's gonna knock this kid out again. He's going to do what Conor McGregor does. But if he walks in there, okay, with that Jefferson walk, thinking he untouchable, okay, and he ain't really focused on this, he's gonna get his behind handed to him because sometimes I think McGregor fails to remember you are a fighter first. Everything else comes second. When it comes to the Khabib fight, I'm not going to take anything away from Khabib. Khabib's a monster. But I think McGregor's mind was not in that fight. McGregor's mind was on everything before that fight, was on all the BS leading up to that fight. McGregor wasn't in that fight as a fighter. McGregor lost that fight before he walked into that octagon.
This is what I'm going to say in response to the losing focus on the sport, right? You're the best until somebody becomes a little bit better than you. You get what I'm saying? You're not going to always stay on top. You know, injuries happen. These guys, they're destroyed after these matches. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes rehab takes longer than others. And like it happened with Ronda. You know what I'm saying? There was a 5 or 6 year stretch where nobody was touching Ronda Rousey. You get what I'm saying? And Holly Holm, you know, knocked her out. Basically, people thought it was a fluke. Then she got knocked out again by who? Amanda Nunes, I think it was. It was Nunes, right? But I don't feel it because she lost focus. I feel as if people scout out your strengths, your weaknesses. Everybody loves a winner. Everyone's trying to mimic your style. And then sometimes they get you on things that they're better at. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like people like Chuck and Ronda lost sight. I think that if Ronda was still winning, she would have not left the UFC. You get what I'm saying? But over time, like with Mike Tyson, he was knocking everybody out. You get what I'm saying? And then people become better than you. People become better than you. People become stronger than you. People become faster than you. while you're being the company's workhorse. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I do agree with you, Pete, that if Conor McGregor does come there as Conor McGregor the businessman and not Conor McGregor the fighter, he's going to have a long night with Poirier. You get what I'm saying? But I feel as if he needs to prove it to himself and to the sport that he's still the king in the ring.
And if he goes in with that mindset, Queen, I think he walks out winning tonight.
I just can't wait to see it.
For sure.
For sure. I can't wait to see it either. The NBA, it's been said that if the Knicks are good, and Tay said this on the show too. She said this a few times, and she said it recently. If the Knicks are good, the NBA is even better. And let's be real, it's true. At this present moment, the Knicks are 8-9, and the team across the bridge, the Brooklyn Nets, are 9-8. They are covering the 7th and 8th spots in the Eastern Conference. With the most recent trade and how the Knicks have been playing, who is the better team? Who realistically is the better team?
The Nets. The Nets are still the better team. New York, the Knicks are still New York's team.
Mm-hmm.
But the Nets are the better team because I feel as if what the Nets are going through are growing pains. You get what I'm saying? I feel like you have a lot of talent in Brooklyn, superstar talent in Brooklyn. The Knicks have team talent, which is a lot different. You get what I'm saying? The Knicks, to me, are more of a solid, cohesive team, kind of mimicking more of the Bulls, the 2010, 2011 Bulls. There are no clear D Roses on the squad. There's no clear Joakim Noahs on the squad. But you do have a squad that if you insert a superstar in there, it changes the conversation about the Knicks. I think the Knicks are one superstar or a superstar and a half away from being a really scary team in the Eastern Conference. I feel like the Nets have the tools, but the Nets have something that the Knicks don't have, and that's ego. You have a lot of divas on that team that want to be divas, that want to be the top guy. You know, you have the Hardens, you know what I'm saying, who left Houston like a baby. You have Kyrie Irving, you get what I'm saying, who, you know, it doesn't feel like his mind is into the game. You have Kevin Durant, who is he's the best offensive player in this generation. So you can't say that, I can't compare the two. I feel like the Nets are definitely going to figure it out and go further. I feel like the Nets have a lot of eyes on them, similar to the 2008 Celtics, similar to the 2010 Miami Heat. You want to see if three guys who are supposedly in their prime, if they can coincide and become this super team. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like the Knicks have a super team in the making, similar to the Spurs. You get what I'm saying? So it's a different type of road for both teams.
Agreed. Pete.
I agree with a lot that Tay said. I wouldn't put the Knicks on that level yet or up in there. I do think they have
bookings. I didn't say they were there yet.
I think, you know, RJ Barrett has really grown in front of our eyes this year. I will be the first to say that I trashed RJ Barrett hard. I thought he was going to be a bust, and RJ Barrett has really started to show that he does have skills. I think we're starting to see the Thibodeau effect on the team. But then again, Tom Thibodeau teams, year 1, year 2, really good. It's about year 3 that the wheels really start to fall off of Tom Thibodeau teams, and you start to see the fractures. You start to see the fractures in that coach-player relationship and things like that with Thibodeau teams. So the honeymoon phase for Thibodeau is in full swing right now. There's a lot of young pieces on the Knicks still have a question mark to me. Is Mitchell Robinson going to be a quality starting and NBA center? Julius Randle is not. Julius Randle's playing for his next contract. Julius Randle's not saying he has been the best player on the Knicks this season, without question. But Julius Randle is a veteran. He's not a building block. right? I want to see more out of Emmanuel quickly. I want to see more out of Obi Toppin, who really is coming off the bench a lot right now. I really want to see more out of Kevin Knox, because, like, what are we doing with this kid, right? But there's a lot of question marks around the Knicks in terms of, where do they go next? I think this offseason is going to be the big one for the Knicks, because the question of, can you now attract players to New York? Can you draft correctly? Because that has been the Knicks' biggest problem, is drafting, especially in the last couple of years. They don't really draft great talent. And if they do, they get rid of them too quick. I'm looking at you, Kristaps Porzingis, right?
Nobody, but the Knicks won that Kristaps Porzingis side. Let me tell you something. Kristaps Porzingis is overrated. That's 100%.
Second best player in Dallas right now.
Okay, who cares about Dallas? I don't care about Dallas. Nobody, in the grand scheme of things, outside of Luka, right? Nobody cares about the Dallas Mavericks besides Luka. And when Mark Cuban trends more than Kristaps Porzingis, nobody cares about Porzingis. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the Knicks got on the upside of not having Porzingis around. I'm going to comment on your Tom Thibodeau teams thing, right?
Okay.
The only thing that prevented the Bulls in that 2010, 2011, 2012 swing from getting a ring was D Rose's knees.
Yes.
And what we know was very, very injury prone. You get what I'm saying? I feel like Tom Thibodeau, look at the teams that he was involved with at the times he was involved with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in San Antonio as an assistant head coach when David Robinson was running the Roos, and they were almost there. He was at the Knicks from 96 to 04. You get what I'm saying? When it was kind of their glory years post that that first 90s fail in the NBA Finals.
I miss you, Jeff Van Gundy.
He was integral, you get what I'm saying, to that Boston Celtics team that won that NBA championship. And then what he was able to do with Chicago, he pulled them out of.
And even with Minnesota, he did great things with Minnesota before things fell off.
But I'm just talking about it. But do things fall off because of the superstar talent that can't stay healthy, or is it and that causes the fracture?
I think a part of it, Queen, is part of it has to do with superstars, not necessarily falling apart, but superstars becoming superstars in the fact that Thibodeau's the kind of coach that you want to run through a wall for. Superstars aren't really necessarily going to run through a wall for anybody. And so I feel like once a couple of stars kind of get too big for themselves, they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play the defense the way you want me to play.
But he never had a Kyrie. Derrick Rose is a tragic. I think that he is somebody as great as he was under Thibodeau. He could have been much better had he stayed healthy. But I don't think the fractures start with the coach-player relationship. I get what you're saying, that the superstar, the Don Diva type of thing. I get that. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what the Brooklyn Nets problem is. And I feel like Steve Nash is too new. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to do good with the team. But I feel like Steve Nash, when you put the tail of the two tapes with the coaches, right? If Thibodeau had what Steve Nash has in a roster, the Knicks would run roughshod through 90% of the East and about 50% of the West.
I agree, except that I would argue that Thibodeau's system wouldn't work with a team like that.
It can.
If they're humble enough.
It can.
But if they're humble enough. I
think that he would do good things with Kyrie. Because if you had Kyrie, Harden, and KD, Kyrie's the better defender than Harden and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is not known for defense at all. You get what I'm saying?
He's capable of playing it. He's just not.
His last couple of years, his years in Golden State, he was up there in defense. He's not a defensive player of the year caliber. But I get what you're about to say. I get 100% what you're about to say.
No. Just because you had to play defense doesn't mean you're good at defense. Just because you have Steph Curry throwing up 72 shots a game and Klay Thompson throwing up 50, then you see this one guy just in this defensive stance like this, doesn't mean that he's playing good defense. Period.
I feel like you're talking about Draymond.
That's next.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right, it's a rare form, but I full on agree with what Tavia said. Pete, I don't think the blame should ever really be on Tom Thibodeau as far as the downfall of Chicago. Or
I don't put it on Tibbs.
No, I'm just saying, like, as far as the cracks that you explained, again, it does go back to injury, because Derrick Rose knee went bad twice. Luol Deng was very injury prone. Joakim Noah he was missing in action plenty of times because of injury, and then he gets to Minnesota and Karl Anthony Towns gets hurt. Wiggins got hurt a couple times, so you can't really necessarily say it's cracks in the foundation. It's just the substance of the league and how demanding the travel schedule is, as far as playing back-to-back road games, and then sometimes you might get hurt. It is what it is. So, like what Xavier said, the Nets is still the bet. I'm not going to say the better team. They're the favorite team as far as going further in the playoffs. The Knicks, overwhelmingly, and I'm like kind of shocked to say it, they're number one in defense right now, which is a breath of fresh air. It's almost resemblance to the 90 Knicks. It's a breath of fresh air. That's New York basketball defense. Let's be 100. It's New York basketball. It's what the city thrives on. That cutthroat defense. So I love what I'm saying. I love the foundation of what's being created right now. You mentioned Kevin Knox earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Knox has took a nosedive as far as his points per game. So I don't think they have much faith in what's going on with him. He was averaging 12.8, I believe, in the beginning stages of it. And I think he's down to like 9 or 8, and he's not rebounding as much as he used to. Julius Randle, I believe Julius Randle is going to stay with the Knicks because they got the money to give him the contract that he wants. So I do believe he's going to remain a Knick because they love what they are saying, and he is bringing it. He's coached. He's helping put that faith in these new guys that are in the league, like the RJ Barretts that you just mentioned, the Obi Toppins that you just mentioned. Noel, he's playing. I was very critical of Nerlens Noel.
Well, you
I was very
a bit OD with me. You spoke about. I'm like, come on, bro. It's not that bad.
It's because I'm remembering how he played in Philly and what he eventually became in New Orleans. So I love how this Knick group is playing. Now, are they going to go far in the playoffs? No, not right now. Like Tavia said, they're probably like an all-star superstar away from. And even though I really believe Julius Randle might actually make the all-star team this year the way he's playing.
He definitely will. He's playing. So, he's playing solo ball, but it's helping the Knicks.
It's helping the Knicks, like you just said. You're right.
In 49 episodes, this was the second episode Kristaps Porzingis was even mentioned.
I have a quick question.
I was going to get to that next.
Yeah. What was the first? Was 2010 the first year of the Big Three in Miami?
Yes.
2009, 2011.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I was just looking at Thibodeau's first year with the Bulls. They went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to Miami.
And I was about to get to that too.
His first year with the Bulls.
It wasn't just the knee problems. They had to run into LeBron. I'm not going to say because they ran into that.
He didn't come back for that series, right?
Absolutely not. No.
They how many games did it go to? I don't remember.
5 games. Miami won 4-1.
Yeah, but they still. Let me tell you something. They still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals without Derrick Rose, who was looking to be on that Mount Rushmore of that 2010 to 2020 decade. You get what I'm saying? So
Rose played in that series,
but he had just come back from a torn something.
Rose played all 5 games. Average 23 points. 23 points.
They didn't have something. There was something that they were missing from that series.
That's not the year that he got hurt. I don't think that's the year he came back. I believe he came back late.
Don't get me started. But
that's neither here nor there. Tom Thibodeau had to run into injuries and ultimately LeBron. So I don't put that on him. It's just a matter of, look, one player is not going to beat that Miami team. Let's just be 100. You can't put that on Tom Thibodeau and say that there's cracks in the foundation of that. His defense, he's one of the best defensive mind coaches in the league right now. And I will stand by that. I'll put a stamp on it. Anybody that's willing to argue with me, bring it. But I'm not going to put that on Tom Thibodeau. So when they hired Tom Thibodeau, I know me and Tavia spoke about it on the show one time. I was like, they could have got somebody else. I'm not mad that they got Tom Thibodeau.
I was happy about that.
I was like, all right, I want to see what it does. It's a young core. Let's see if he elevates RJ Barrett's defensive intensity. At the time, they did not have Julius Randle. Not Julius Randle. At the time, we wasn't sure about the Obi Toppin thing because I don't think that they were going to get Obi Toppin. I didn't even think he was going to go that far down in the draft, honestly. But that was just then. But the Nets. Well, no. Let me get back to the Kristaps Porzingis thing. The Knicks did win that trade. I'm not gonna say that they didn't. They won that trade. Why? Because he wasn't happy. He didn't want to play there. Him and Jones Dolan were going at it. It was a bad situation, and
he's very he the way he handled even the playoffs.
He's immature. He's immature. We know that.
But to be honest with you, there's no excuse for it. I feel like when Kyrie does immature things, there's no excuse for it. You've been in the league now for some time. You get what I'm saying? Your professionalism, to me, hard work and professionalism trumps talent to me. So when I see that you're a talent with very lack of respect for the millions of dollars that you're making, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to look at you as that superstar level, even though you are being paid as that much and you're being branded as such. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing is, what we're seeing with the Nets is the same growing pains, like I said before, that the big three and the big two in Boston went through, and the big two in Miami went through, because Chris Bosh was not a part of that big three for me, and you know how I feel about poor Pierce.
I was thinking, I'm like, big two? Like, I forget.
Allen.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
And then LeBron and Wade.
Not gonna do this.
So big 2.5.
See, here's my thing about the Porzingis trade. We're gonna, and yes, from the side of Porzingis not being happy, his relationship with Dolan, all of that stuff, yes, 100%.
And the injuries. That's the main thing. The main thing was injuries.
Right.
Which Dallas is still dealing with.
Right. But but here's the thing. I think it's really going to come as a question of because the only thing the Knicks have left from that trade, Wesley Matthews is gone. He was a throw-in. He's gone. DeAndre Jordan's with the Nets now. He's gone. Dennis Smith Jr. was a bust. He's gone, right? The only thing we have left from that trade is the 2 first-round picks, the 2021 first-round pick and the 2023 first-round pick. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can turn those picks into something, because obviously Dallas is going to have a very good record this year. And so if that pick is able to be turned into something, either a good player at the bottom of the first round or traded for something to move up in the first round or even another player. So those 2 picks are going to be telling, because right now it ends up being Porzingis for 2 first-round picks that you haven't even been able to cash in on yet. And right now, Porzingis has been able to help Luka Doncic go to the playoffs twice. I think
and cost him a game.
Right, from your standpoint of what was going on in the organization, his injuries at the time, his unhappiness, yes, he needed to go. I think, though, if we want to play armchair time traveler, if we can rewrite what happened in the Knicks those couple of years between the way Dolan was involved, Phil Jackson being the GM, all that stuff, I think the Kristaps Porzingis situation turns out differently, and I think Porzingis could have been a very beneficial player for the Knicks in that time period and moving forward. But because of what did happen, yes, he needed to go.
I think the Phil Jackson thing is not spoken about enough, about how that kind of turned a lot of things around.
Oh my goodness.
that is not spoken about enough.
It was as if he hated the Knicks in the 90s and hated the Knicks, and it was just that was
his first title was because of the Knicks.
Yeah, but no one
won a title with the Knicks. That's the thing.
Nobody remembers that.
I don't remember. I forgot he was on the team until I saw it.
Everybody does. Nobody thinks about Phil Jackson being on the Knicks.
Nobody thinks of Phil Jackson as a player.
He's always synonymous with the '90s Bulls, which were the biggest foils to the Knicks and Patrick Ewing. You get what I'm saying? I do feel. Let me tell you something here. I do feel we look at these teams in the next 2 years. The Knicks might be better because we have these superstars who've been in the league now for about 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Their stock, they're a team for now. They're a now and never type of team. Like if they don't win a ring within the next year or two, that team in the Nets in Brooklyn is going to be considered a bust.
Yeah,
it is.
And,
if Harden and KD, I think the question is going to be if KD resigns, right? No. If KD resigns with the Nets, then I think you have a building block for something where you can build around KD, maybe Harden.
Am I still building around KD 10 plus years into the league though?
Well, 10 years? No, I'm talking about the end of his current contract.
How far is your time step? Are you saying like 2, 3? Because they got Harden for 3. I think
they got Harden for 2.
Championship in 2 years.
23, 24, I think.
If they don't win a championship in 2 years, it's going to be a bust. Let me tell you something. Yeah, everybody talk about LeBron chasing rings. Nobody chased a ring harder than Kevin Durant. Nobody. You get what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, we're going to know if James Harden and KD had that chemistry or if it was Russ who was the glue in between that really made them what they were in the 2010s.
Well, right now the Nets offensively they're strong. It's just a matter of
they have a terrible defense and they have no bench. They have no bench.
They have no defense. They have no big. They have nobody to protect the paint at all. Like
when your second big man, when DeAndre Jordan goes on the bench and they play small, when your center, when you play small, is Jeff Green. Okay, when Jeff Green is getting almost 30-plus minutes a game in this era of the NBA, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's garbage. That's garbage right there.
It is garbage. I think if they was going to go small, they'll put Kevin Durant on 5.
It looks almost like D'Antoni ball out there to me.
It does, and that's what I said. And that's exactly what I said when D'Antoni was coming.
And I always said that D'Antoni ball does not get you the ring. It gets you to the playoffs, the second round of the playoffs, if that much. With KD, Eastern Conference Finals because of KD only.
Yeah, I could see the Nets. I could see the Nets blasting through the East, right? Blasting. They're going to outscore most teams. They're going to outscore most teams with the 3 players they have on the court. But if anybody misses any significant time due to injury, they're screwed. And they have no bench. They really have no bench. So when those players come off, it's and here's the problem. In my world, when I'm thinking X's and O's, I'm thinking, instead of all 3 start. But instead of all 3 being on the court at once, we should be rotating so it's 2 of them on the court at any given time for most of the game so that you're keeping at least one somewhat fresh. You play the 3 of them in spurts, but you're rotating 2 of them on the court so that it's a 2-headed monster, not a 3-headed monster, and you're getting some rest for these guys. Because if these guys keep running 38, 39, 40 minutes a game, they're not going to have any gas left for the playoffs.
I just hope that they figure out the point where I feel like James Harden can lead that second unit, even though he's starting. I feel like he can lead that second unit better than Kyrie could. Granted, Kyrie's scoring and he's ultimately playing too, so he's not on the ball as much. James Harden's distributing, which is okay. It's just they're getting pounded out in the paint. They're getting out rebound. I think Cleveland out rebounded them 52 to like 28, if I'm not mistaken.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for a team of this caliber who Matt was already ready to walk down Flatbush Avenue and have his tickets. The parade will not happen on Flatbush Avenue. Just to let you know, it'll happen in the city. So let's get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened in Manhattan? That's where the Canyon of Heroes is, on Fulton Street.
Look.
The Giants play in Jersey, but they still walk across the Canyon of Heroes. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves for being Brooklyn Nets fans and look at y'all team. Y'all team looking crazy.
I have been, and I say this. When I defend my fandom, I say it like this. I grew up.
I'm talking to my boy. Here. Because
I'm not ashamed. Because it's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot to make me not be ashamed of
Ben Horn and all these people that we mentioned way more than we've ever. Kristaps Porzingis. You start talking about Kristaps Porzingis and all this stuff. But the thing is, y'all ready for these ticker tape parades? They gotta play defense.
Oh, you know well, Tay. I will, and we say this about the presidents, right? We said this about 45 and 46. I say this about the Nets all the time. And I say this about every team I'm a fan of. I am a fan of them. But I always grew up with the mindset of a sports analyst. I will hold your feet to the fire until you do something. Until you perform and until you give us something, I'm going to hold you to the fire. So, yeah.
None of y'all hold the Jets to the fire. Only me and Dre.
I talk crap about the Jets all the time.
Y'all don't even hold the Giants to the fire.
Yeah, we did. We definitely did. All right, you know what? That's a perfect transition. Wonderful. Because as you say, we're not keeping the same energy about the Giants. We definitely said that the Giants should not have depended on the Philadelphia Eagles to get them into the playoffs. We definitely said that on the show, and there's tape on that. But while we're on the topic of football and losing, I'm in last place in the Pick 5. What is the rest of the records right now?
So there is still a 1-game lead for Tay at 46 and 27. Matt and I are tied at 45 and 28, and Dre,
she's running the clock out.
42 and 31.
So running the clock out. You see what she's doing?
The reason
that's what she's doing right now.
Now we're going to start talking about how this was a culture-defining game for what's his face at
Baker.
What's his name?
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield.
I didn't pick him though.
That the East were going to lose this playoff game. I said nah. But I'm not running out no clock at all.
I heard Chad.
I will say the Browns played a better game than I think a lot of people thought
they did. They did. Tavia, give him credit. Give him credit.
And had Chad Henne not stepped in, and saved that game, the Browns won.
You would not have won a. You know what?
If the Browns converted,
should-have, would-have.
Right. If the Browns had converted that interception in the end zone in the fourth quarter, had they converted that interception, they would have won that game. Okay, just like coulda, shoulda, woulda.
They wasn't winning that game.
Just like coulda, shoulda, woulda.
They wasn't winning that game. Well, I was the only person in that chat that was saying, "Hey, I'm not nervous that Patrick Mahomes left the game. I wasn't nervous. I knew they were going to win. I knew it. Now, I would say I am surprised at the New Orleans Saints. They completely collapsed. If you wasn't surprised, why you didn't pick them? You would have been tied with them.
No, because I knew that. I'm not.
Pete made sure every game.
I picked the Saints. And I stand by my pick of the Saints because I did not think that the Tampa Bay offense was going to be able to outscore them. Am I surprised by the way the Saints played and not necessarily the way the Saints played? Am I surprised by the performance of Drew Brees? No, because you can take the tape back. You can go back to our earlier episodes, even the episodes before I came on as a full-time host, when I said that Drew Brees is looking like Father Time hit him real hard this year.
But why you didn't pick playoff Tom, though?
Because I don't like Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady more than I hate the Bears. I hate Tom Brady more than I hate the Chicago Bears.
That was watching the game, right, it was as
I hate
if
Tom Brady.
I was the Grinch and my heart grew 3 times in size, right?
I hate New England too.
Why do I hate this guy? All he wants to do, right, is be a good dad, be a great player,
and beat my Jets every year. I hate Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady.
And then you know how I feel about Drew Brees, but that's for another episode, right? But if you felt that,
I hate Brady's wife too. I don't like her either.
That strongly, Pete, you would have been tied.
I hate Tom Brady. I hate his wife.
You actually should have picked it.
I hate Tom Brady. I hate his wife. I hate Tom Brady. I hate his wife. I hate Bill Belichick. I hate the New England Patriots. I hate everything. I hate everything about New England. I hate everything. I will never pick Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady.
You like, oh, you know, Mama's is off limits, and here you go. I hate his wife. I hate him. I hate his kids. But let me tell you something.
I never said I hate his kids. I don't hate those kids.
Anytime.
I don't hate on no kids.
I
I don't hate on no kids.
You taking over as vice president of the FTK fan club, I see.
I don't hate on no kids. I don't hate on no kids. I never said I hate on no kids.
Chill.
Vice president of the FTK fan club.
I don't hate no kids.
But anyway, now with our pick fives, right? Everybody want to talk about, Tavia is running out the clock and this. Y'all had ample opportunity. Y'all knew my picks. And last week I said what I said, and I did not waver with anybody. I was wrong. I really thought that the New Orleans Saints were going to beat the Buccaneers.
No,
because Gronk did nothing. Antonio Brown did nothing. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady, they won that game off of Tom Brady's back.
Is he even playing this week?
No.
Antonio Brown is out this week.
He's out. And Drew Brees, like, what happened to Kamara? What happened?
Brees looks like Brees got hit hard. I mean,
Kamara couldn't run any further than 1 yard at a time. It was 1 yard at a time.
I knew something was up with not so much the Saints this season, but I knew something was up in this game, and I knew we had lost the game as the Saints the minute I saw that Jameis Winston was put in for a play.
Don't get me wrong, he got like 50-something yards, and I think it was
he threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah.
Throw interception.
But I was like, stop, Dre. Come on. This is his last game.
Let me tell you something. Now this is my I have 30 seconds for Matt. Right? God. The first thing you said when the Buccaneers beat the Saints was that the Packers were gonna run roughshod on the Buccaneers. Can you tell me in 10 words or less why?
I gotta count the words.
Yes, because y'all get long-winded, and I don't got the patience for this.
Because Aaron Rodgers is my MVP. That's why.
MVP is one word.
Is it? All right, cool. I still have like three words left. I did pretty good.
No, all right.
I did pretty good. Hold on.
Even though I see the Packers beating the Buccaneers.
I don't see the Packers beat the Buccaneers.
I do.
I do.
Let me tell you something. Gronk should have stayed in retirement. He's done nothing all season. Now, I might have to eat my words because maybe in the third quarter, he's going to remember that he's a legendary tight end and light up the Packers. I don't think the Packers have the defense to answer to the Bucs offense, but that's for another.
In the fourth quarter, he's gonna remember. He's like, "Oh, look, I can jump off a balcony at WrestleMania. I can do this."
Oh, I forgot he did that.
Because he did it because Vince did it first and showed him how to do it. So he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, if you saw the video of like the behind the scenes from Mania, and they told him, okay, we want you to jump off the balcony and whatever. He was like so terrified to do it that Vince came out of production to get on the balcony and show him how to do the jump. And then once he saw Vince do it, he was like, okay, I'll do it.
And Vince bumped perfectly, but that's what we
As
say.
Vince should.
Vince will never ask you to do something that
he wouldn't do himself.
Wouldn't do. But we have 2 games this week. Bills Chiefs. We'll start with that. Well, actually, let's start with the game we were just talking about. So, who do we have? I'm choosing the Packers.
What? Jay, welcome to the dark side. Welcome to Death Row. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm lying. I'm sorry. I just chose the Bucs. Well, I chose the Bucs a second ago. My bad. I'm tripping.
Why do you always choose first? Like, all right, at the count of 3.
What happened, Tay? I'm sorry.
At the count of 3, me, so that people can say it's fair, right? At the count of 3, me, Pete, and Matt are gonna say we already know who Matt's going for.
But
right?
this is the Packers Bucks.
At the count of 3, me and Pete are gonna say, Dre, you're gonna count who we're going for. All right? No controversy.
Are you ready?
I already know who I'm going for.
Are you ready?
Right. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Green Bay.
Packers.
I'm actually mad, right? Because this is supposed to be my Trump type week. Y'all supposed to go for the Bucks because y'all Tom Brady fans, and I was supposed to come on next week and gloat that man, Aaron Rodgers, aka my MVP, who I chose to be the MVP weeks ago, and y'all was sitting there talking about something. No, it's because of his name. It's not because he performing good.
I'm never going to get over it. I'm never going to get over. Now, let me tell you something. People don't really understand about me. The Packers are my third, what used to be my second favorite team. The Packers are my third favorite team. I am a huge Brett Favre fan. I used to love the Green Bay Packers in the 90s, especially in the early 2000s. I like Aaron Rodgers. My mom's is a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why. But once
you don't know why?
Yes.
Once you don't know why. You know why?
Quarterback of the decade next to Tom Brady, I figured to myself, I said,
use this
is some OD. I was gonna curse. Oh my god, this is some nonsense. I caught myself, Dre. I was about to. This is some.
I want you to remember this.
Well, I was looking. I'm like, is she gonna do it?
Tom Brady talk. This next to Tom Brady talk. I want you to remember this, Dre. Remember this.
Not my.
When Aaron Rodgers spanked Tom Brady in the Buccaneers, I want you to remember that he did that to Tom Brady.
Well, not for y'all, because not for Tay, because Tay already is like Tay the past few weeks has been picking against who she really wants to pick.
Yes.
But for Matt, do not let Tom Brady win. I'm gonna have something for you. Don't let Tom Brady win, bro.
When Aaron Rodgers win, I want the same energy. When Aaron Rodgers win, I want the same energy.
Because of you, I want the Bucks to win. Because of you and you.
So pick the Bucks.
So
pick them.
The Queen.
Pick the Bucks.
The Queen only comes for choices that she chooses to make.
So have all your favorite Tom Brady in the Bucks.
Because you called me down from it.
Hey, pick the Bucks. You wanted to win so bad.
You called me down for it. I can't even hear you. I can't even see you.
I hate Tom Brady.
Put your record in Tom Brady's hand, Tay.
I can't even see you.
Put your record in Tom Brady's hand. Please.
Pete, you know what? I don't even know why I'm having a conversation with third place. Pete.
I'm not in third place. I'm not in third place.
You are in third place.
I'm tied for second. Dre's in third place. Don't do that.
Dre's in fourth place.
He's in third. Exactly.
Don't add me into this conversation because I'm clearly not in it. That's why I'm picking. That's why I've been picking. Picking against every other team.
What does the audio say about me right now? I hate Tom Brady.
All right.
She don't. He just want to provide a little violin.
I'm like, I spent all the, peer pressure. I spent all these years I should have no reason to hate Tom Brady.
You're a Giants fan. What you mean you don't have no reason to like Tom Brady?
In the Super Bowl.
He gave us two Super Bowl rings. Thank you,
He gave
Tom.
us 2 Super Bowl rings. So why do I hate Tom Brady for?
Technically, he didn't. Their defense did.
And his team were the reason why my team, have 2 rings in this generation. That unlike you you, Pete, I actually was able to go to a ticker tape parade for my team being able to win in the Super Bowl twice.
It was too cold. I wasn't going.
I went to 4 in the 90s for the New York Yankees.
I'm a Yankees fan too, so.
I went to 4.
Right there on Wall Street.
But we're not talking about MLB right now. We're talking about Tom Brady.
I hate Tom Brady.
Me too. You might as well pick him. Please pick him.
Why you hate him?
Dude, I don't.
Why do I hate him? Why do I hate him? Because as a long-suffering Jets fan, I can watch him beat my team. Even when we had really good teams, I hate Bill Belichick. I hate Tom Brady. I hate his wife. I hate his whole company. I hate his corporations. I hate anything he touches. I hate it all. All of it. All of it. I hate New England. Realize I didn't go to college in New England, in Boston, simply because I hate everything that Boston is. I will never, ever root for Boston. Now, then again, that is also the Boston Celtics teams that existed before I was born. I love them. I'm a huge Larry Bird fan. I love the old school Boston Celtics. But
Larry Bird looks like
his earth.
That's it.
Yeah, see, I was with you, and then you was like, yeah,
Larry Bird.
Really? Because Larry not top 10 in all of history. Larry not top 10.
He's definitely top 5 of ugly jump shots.
I do see the Packers pulling it off.
Copy that.
But I do not think that they are going to spank. Like the first thing that came out of Matt's mouth was, "I'm glad because they're gonna feed him to that man." I'm like, that man? He don't even talk to his family.
He's a bad man.
Thank you. That man.
He's a bad man.
Stephen A. Smith say he's a bad. I call him that man.
Nothing that Stephen.
That man.
You know what? You know.
Better put some respect on that man.
All right. Next game.
Aaron Rodgers is overrated.
Chiefs versus Bills.
He's overrated league the MVP. That's what he is. Yeah, overrated league valued as the MVP.
That team in Missouri.
Remember, this is how we ended the episode last week.
Tell me
your MVP.
Watch that man beat Aaron.
All right.
Let him play that
Green Bay. So
watch. Team in Missouri. They coming for him.
All right. Chiefs Bills, y'all. Chiefs Bills. We gotta get to the smoke section. Chiefs
the only
Bills.
ring he's gonna get is a Nuva ring. How about that?
Whatever. We gonna make sure we have fun in Tampa. Lil Wayne got his tickets ready.
Chiefs Bills.
Lil Wayne, I could never.
I ain't talking about that. We're talking about football. I ain't talking about that. I know you was going with that. I'm not talking about that.
Who do y'all have? I'm picking the Bills.
You serious?
I am also picking the Bills, not because I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs, but because I said that I was pulling for the Bulls from day one. And as Tavia has said every single week on his show, keep the same energy. I'm going to stick with my Buffalo Bills through hell and high water. I do think this is going to be the game of the week. I do think that Kansas City could very easily win this game, but I think the Bills, I'm sticking with them. I like them. And let me tell you something. The state of New York, when it comes to sports, deserves this one. Buffalo deserves this one. It's been a long time since we've seen Buffalo in a Super Bowl, and I would really like to see it one time. I was too young to appreciate it when it did happen. I'm picking Buffalo. I think this is the game of the weekend. I'm taking the Bills.
Is it because they're in New York?
No, I'm as Tavia said, I'm keeping the same energy. I said that the Bills would go to the AFC Championship game. I've said multiple times on this show, I think the Bills are the best option against the Chiefs in the league this year. I said that the Bills have what it takes.
Get them off my screen today. Get them off my screen.
But I'm taking the Bills. So I'm keeping that same energy.
Chiefs Kingdom for you too?
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs.
You wild. I don't know what Pete don't want to win. That's what this is about. He clearly don't want to win.
Let me tell you something, Pete. You don't sound blasphemous saying what you're saying. No. What I will say is this: the Bills are the biggest threat that the Chiefs are facing to a second ring. I feel like whoever wins this game wins the Super Bowl. That's where I'm coming at from it. Because I don't feel like either team on the NFC can beat this team. Either one of these teams on the AFC.
So Cycle Tom doesn't have another one in him?
I don't think he's making it. But I would disagree with Tavia. I think if the Packers make the Super Bowl, if it's Packers Bills, again, I'm going to keep that same energy and I'm going to stick with my Bills. But I say my Bills because I picked them a lot this year and I've stood with them. But I will say if it's Packers Bills, it'll be really tough. If it's Packers Chiefs, it's really tough. I think Aaron has a chance. Izzy has said it in the chat, and y'all have said it. It's hard to bet against Tom. I will agree with this. As much as I hate Tom Brady, it is very hard to bet against Brady in the Super Bowl for me. Even as much as I hate Tom Brady.
It's harder to bet against him in the AFC in the championship games in the Super Bowl. I'm just being honest with you. Let me tell you something. I feel as if Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, of course, are going to be the narrative of this game. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. But the Packers are a better team than the Bucs.
I see Shaq bring up that Bucs defense. Granted, it ran roughshod on Green Bay earlier in the season. And they stifled Aaron Rodgers. And I believe that he remembers what happened. So that's why I'm overwhelmingly choosing the Green Bay Packers for that game. It's Lambeau Field. I feel like Aaron Rodgers he has a lot of mental capacity for everything that's been happening to him for like the last 2 seasons. You know, with everybody saying that he's declining, one, because of the new system that he had to get used to. 2, them drafting a new quarterback who's being forced to now watch greatness happen right now. So it's hard to bet against Tom Brady, but like Pete is saying, I'm in the predicament where I have to keep the same energy, and I'm going to keep the same energy. I'm choosing Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to bet against Tom Brady because of his career and who he is.
Yeah.
So
they're playing in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, and the running back going to come around the defensive end, the linebacker going to come in, boom, and that's what's going to happen.
Look,
what the hell did you just say?
I really don't know.
That's what John Madden would say every week.
Yeah, I must say that you summoned your inner John Madden. Right?
Right. But you know what I'm gonna say though? I think that, like I said, whoever wins the Chiefs Bills, I feel wins the Super Bowl. Let me tell you something. The Bills look scary. Not Kansas City scary last year, but they look scary. And I do not see the Green Bay Packers having the tools, you get what I'm saying, to beat those teams in the AFC. I don't see it. Now, they got.
Continue.
Now, what I will say is this. This is a time more than ever for Aaron Rodgers to prove that he is above the one-ring quarterbacks like the Big Bens and show why he was put tied for number 1. But Tom Brady's going to show him who's the best quarterback of this generation. He's going to show him. I'm telling you, he's going to show him.
No, I agree. These games are very, very important, not just for Super Bowl, but I guess for legacy purposes at least on one side of the coin. With the
only for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, for Aaron Rodgers.
No one else out of the 4 quarterbacks that are playing in the championship games right now have as much to prove as Aaron Rodgers.
True. I think the Bills, and I'll say this to wrap this up. The Bills remind me of that Ravens team that last won the championship. Except wasn't Josh Allen is better than Joe Flacco, but
Yeah, but they don't have nobody there like Ray Lewis.
Right.
And listen, here's the thing: what we saw last week with the Browns and the Chiefs showed that the Chiefs do have weaknesses. And here's the thing: Mahomes is just coming off that concussion protocol. By no means do I want this man to get injured again, but it is very hard to quickly come back from a concussion like that of any kind and be 100%. And so I feel like if the Bills can get any strong hits on Mahomes and rattle him, this may be the opportunity. The Browns
you want the team to play dirty to go to
no, not play dirty, but
so
the Browns.
Look at that Bronx mentality.
The Browns.
Look how you bringing that Yerrr Sports. Look what you bringing to the Yerrr Sports Show.
I don't want them to pull a Tanya Harding. I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to pull a Tanya Harding, but I think the Cleveland Browns laid a great framework for what it's going to take to slow down the Chiefs, right? And I think the Bills have the offensive firepower to be able to do what the Browns could not.
Look, they played with a quarterback I don't think I've ever heard of in my life, right?
Chad Henne?
I never heard of that. What's his name?
Chad Henne, former Jets great.
Former Miami starter, former Jacksonville starter.
Former Jets.
I never heard this guy. I don't know.
Don't try to skip over the Jets part.
He wasn't a starter for us. He wasn't a starter for us.
I already knew where this was going. That's why I just let it go. I figured she was trying to take a thing at it.
Let me tell you something. You cannot talk about Mahomes being the biggest threat on the Chiefs. They showed y'all last week that there's a man on that field, number 87. You get what I'm saying? Who I feel is better than Gronk.
But who has to get him the ball?
Chad Henne.
Who's the name? Chad?
Yeah.
What's his name again? Chad Pennington. Chad Pennington got to get him the ball.
Chad
Henne. Same. They played the same. Don't even worry about it. They played the same.
You know what, Dre? I'm coming after you. I'm a Tanya Harding, behind. Next time, I'm saying it right now. Next time, Jabba Tears is able to do a viewing party for something, I'm coming for Dre. That's it. I'm coming for him.
We only gonna have 3 members of the show again. So don't even play.
No, let me tell you something. What's the name again?
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne, right?
Mark Sanchez.
All right. He showed y'all anything was possible. Okay.
I thought that was Garnett. I thought Garnett did.
Let me tell you something. You better be ready for the smoke that you gonna get if Aaron Rodgers. I'm going all the way to wherever you live, and with a big sign, and I'm taunting you for days. Period. You are not gonna be. You better hope and pray to the football gods that Aaron Rodgers pulls this off.
You know, we didn't even pick for the
I would never.
We're still.
Matt, by the way, who are you taking? Are you taking the Bills or the Chiefs?
He's taking the Chiefs.
I want to pick the Chiefs, and everything that Pete is saying is kind of right. But you're worried about the concussion. I'm more worried about the turf toe. So that's kind of like throwing me off. But Travis Kelce,
ladies and gentlemen, do not ever listen to Jets fans. That is why
I'm going with the Chiefs, though. I said
okay. All right.
Chiefs, but I'm worried about that turf toe more than the concussion.
Bills,
they got Chad Pennington, so they'll be all right.
Well,
if they had Chad Pennington, they'd be great. If they had Chad Pennington, they'd be beautifully fine.
Right. No.
Yeah.
But
Chad
we would just
from Missouri, baby. Matt, you better keep that energy.
So,
because I'm coming for you.
Matt, I already know.
Matt,
you in the TikTok game.
You've been getting some of the smoke the past couple of minutes. You got smoke for anybody else?
No, Pete got some smoke.
Okay.
Pete got some smoke too.
So let's check out the smoke section. Oh my God.
Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, a travesty has been brought to my attention. the other night we witnessed just how soft the NBA has gotten. We watched the game between the Knicks and the Golden State Warriors. James Wiseman messed up a play that Draymond Green passed to him and lost the ball to, I think it was Julius Randle. It was Noel. It was Nerlens Noel. And they came back up the court. Draymond is being, the typical Draymond Green type player he is, and he is getting at James Wiseman, his rookie. He's yelling at him and telling him, you messed up that play. And you know what happened, ladies and gentlemen? The man got a technical and got ejected for yelling at his teammate.
Good.
His teammate. Not the ops. Not the opposition. His teammate. What is going on in the NBA where you can get ejected out of the game? First half of the game for yelling at your own teammate.
Draymond got a history of doing that, though.
It's his teammate.
The referee.
Thank you, Draymond, for KD. We appreciate it.
The referee believed incorrectly that Draymond was yelling at the ref, not James Wiseman. And the referee did publicly come out and say afterwards that they made the wrong call. Now, it is up to the NBA whether or not they're going to rescind that ejection from Draymond's record.
I mean,
so they can remove it from his record because these kind of things.
It's ridiculous, Pete. It's ridiculous. The league has gotten so soft. It's Scott's tissue now. That's what the league is. You can't do nothing. You can't breathe on certain players without being called a foul. You can't even look at the referee without getting a technical. You can't even talk when you get a shot.
Wait a minute. What you say, Pete?
And then I was coughing. I had something in my tickle in my throat.
No. It's a smoke show. Give him the smoke, Jay. If it was me, you would have gave me the smoke. Give him the smoke. He said LeBron.
He definitely said LeBron. He said LeBron. Get him. He said LeBron.
Get him. Because if it was me,
why'd you say LeBron though? I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
LeBron could walk and not get called for us. I mean,
look at James Harden went from one end of the court all the way to the half court and dribbled one time.
We're talking about LeBron.
No. We talking.
No. Go attack James Harden. That man ain't do nothing to you. I don't understand what Pete brought up LeBron. So I figured we were talking about LeBron.
You and Pete. I don't understand.
It wasn't even me this time. It was Pete.
I don't even understand, Pete. Like, you such a statistician with basketball and stuff like that. Like, and you still sitting here like denying that LeBron is the greatest player in this generation.
No. I say LeBron is the greatest player of this generation.
What you mean when you cough and say LeBron? So what you mean with that?
Because LeBron, like others, there are others. I just decided to concentrate on LeBron. LeBron, like other great players of previous generations, you can breathe on LeBron and he'll pull the Matrix, and all of a sudden there's 4 flagrants called on a play.
Man, Stevenson.
Worse than Jordan, worse than Reggie Miller.
I said worse than Jordan. Players of previous generations did the same thing. I just said that.
But did you say Jordan? But can you say Jordan too?
Jordan did it. Reggie was notorious for doing it. Other players did it. But right now, in this era, for the last decade, it's been LeBron.
The LeBron.
I said Reggie Miller flopped.
LeBron flopped like Shaq shooting a free throw.
No.
But I was talking about Reggie Miller.
Kobe used to like to flop too.
You're not going to disrespect Kobe Bryant. I thought we've been through this already last week. We're not going to do that. We're not doing that, Tavia. We're not respect that man. We're going to disrespect Kobe Bryant.
But y'all going to respect LeBron.
I do respect LeBron. But call a spade a spade. Call a spade a spade. You can breathe on LeBron and you're getting ejected like Draymond did for nothing.
Nonsense.
It's not nonsense. It's the fact.
Where's the receipts?
Look, I ain't going shopping for that.
Where's the receipt? All right, so then go pick it up then.
I'm not going shopping.
So you're not going shopping. You're not going shopping for that.
So then go pick it up then. Put it back where you found it.
Look, the point is the league got soft.
And next time y'all say something about LeBron, say it with your chest, Pete.
It was Pete. He had a cough. You know.
No, don't make excuses for Pete. Don't make excuses for him.
It's cold outside. It's cold.
Queen, Pete said what he said.
Look. Mm-hmm. But can we all agree the league got soft? That was ridiculous. It was no
absolutely.
There was no point in there was no point for that. You yelling at you, even if you like. I just feel like
he shouldn't be yelling at his teammates like that, though. That's something I don't like that he does. He shouldn't be yelling at his teammates in public. Like when I don't like something that my friends and something that my teammates do, I save that for the locker room.
What is wrong with you?
She was dancing. Leave her alone.
Where your other sock at?
She was dancing. She was dancing.
This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you are live podcasting and you are also a parent.
Well, welcome to the Yerrr Sports Show, y'all. But I do agree with Matt. The league has become soft because in that same game, there was a screen. It was a hard screen set, like real, just nice and solid. No, the game before it, real nice and solid screen by PJ Tucker.
Maybe the referee was
flagrant foul.
What? The referees are annoying. They decide the games.
The refs in their feelings. But you know what? The league has definitely gotten soft. I would definitely say that from what we've grown up with, especially me in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? The league is definitely different now. But I do feel like Draymond should not have gotten ejected for that. But I don't like when they reprimand their teammates in public like that. That's embarrassing. I'm sorry. I don't like to be reprimanded by anybody unless it's a coach, you know what I'm saying, on the field, on the court. You save that for the locker room. You get what I'm saying? That's how you become a leader. You know, being a leader is not reprimanding somebody right there and then. Not that way. Like, come on. You know, Draymond always do stuff like that. He's corny.
I ain't gonna hold you. I forget certain stuff, so I might have to tell you right then and there.
I honestly wait until they get to the bench, and then I'll speak to them while they're on the bench. I'm not going to do it on the floor because some people take things differently, and that can affect how they play. James Wiseman, lucky for the Warriors, is a strong enough minded player to where Draymond is he's like, okay, I got you. But not everybody's like that, KD. Like I said,
that was more disrespectful though. That was a lot more disrespectful.
That was more disrespectful. I get it. I get the point he was trying to prove, but again, at the same time, like Tay said, not on the floor, not in a big overtime moment game, because that was actually Draymond thought he actually should have passed the ball to KD and let KD end the game.
Yeah.
But also another thing I kind of want to bring to the table is these referees and Boogie Cousins. They've been ejecting him out of games, just like they treat him like Rasheed Wallace right now.
He is Rasheed Wallace of the league.
All
don't lie. All don't lie.
He definitely is.
I ain't gonna hold you. When Rasheed was on the Knicks, that was that was my favorite time.
The best.
I swear, yo. I love Rasheed. I love Novak. Discount double check, my man. I was a big fan of Nate, until he got knocked out. But that's neither here nor there. But I love Jamal Crawford.
You're talking about two different eras, but that's okay.
I know. I'm just bringing up Nick.
Two different Nick teams, so
favorite Knicks.
But this was a fun episode as usual.
Hey, Tom Brady.
Shout outs to the rest of the Java Tears Network. 2.5 Bros, they're coming back soon to Zone Talk. They have an episode that just dropped on Tuesday, and they're dropping another one this Tuesday. Of course, the Java Tears podcast just returned.
Girl, I said hi to you about 10 times, okay? Yeah, hi, baby.
So, and shouts to us. Episode 50 coming next week. It's been a wild ride, y'all. 50 episodes. Such good Such good stuff.
Episode 50 gonna be our Super Bowl? Because we get 2 weeks before the Super Bowl.
We get 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, so that will be the first week of our new set of Pick 5 for the NBA. So I'm hoping to get off to a better start in that one. So let's see. But actually, this week's games will determine what happens. Who takes over the show?
No, because we got the Super Bowl. We still got to pick the Super Bowl.
Well, it depends on if. Well, did everybody pick the same thing? Because if you and Tay have different picks, and
we do for the Bills and Kansas City game,
right? For the Bills and Kansas City game.
So if the Bills win, we tie going into the Super Bowl.
Right. If they lose, this is it.
Right, if they lose, we done. Right,
that's what I'm saying. If they lose, we're done. This is the week. The Super Bowls, we can't really count the big game because in the big game we kind of it's done by now.
No, that's not true.
I'm gonna put in a call right now. I'm gonna put in a call.
All right, all to the Super Bowl then. But
here's what we're gonna do.
I'm gonna make one phone call. That game the first half last year.
I'm gonna make one phone call. Hold up. I'm gonna call up. Hold up. I'm gonna call up my boy. I'm gonna call up the head of the table, and we're gonna have him put in a good word for the game, and that's what we're gonna do.
Actually, next week we're gonna be previewing.
He got a new haircut. He don't know how to act, so that's why he was talking out of turn. He's playing with me.
Actually, next week we're gonna be talking about the Rumble, y'all. Probably one of my favorite pay-per-views.
Definitely.
So,
I don't know if y'all heard. I declared for the Royal Rumble. I'm officially in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so for Queen Tay, top right. For BK Matt, little baby, don't want to say you're to us.
Listen, she's so adorable. I cannot even deal.
For Mr. Now you gotta say it with your chest. The professor.
I hate Tom Brady.
That's not what I wanted you to say with your chest. You said that about 50 times. We know.
It's your boy, Big Baby. Signing off. Peace.